In a land where the sun kissed the earth every morning, there lived a beautiful young woman named Eagle. Her smile was as bright as the moonlight, and her heart as soft as the morning dew. Eagle came from a family of wealth and kindness. Her father was known for his wisdom, and her mother was loved for her generosity. People from far and wide admired Eagle, not just for her beauty but for her grace and gentle spirit. When Eagle married Namdi, the son of a rich family, the entire village celebrated for days. Namdi's family was wealthy, and Eagle's life was filled with all the fine things one could dream of. But as the years passed, the one thing missing from their lives became a heavy burden. There was no child to call them Mama and Papa. 8 long years went by, and every day felt heavier than the last. Eagle's mother-in-law, Mama Namdi, grew impatient and harsh. What good is a rich house without the sound of children's laughter, she would say, her words sharp as thorns. Eagle, you've brought nothing but silence to this house. The hurt Eagle felt was like a storm in her heart, but she remained kind and hopeful. Every night, she would kneel by her bed and whisper a prayer to the heavens, asking for a miracle. Oh, God, remember me. The whole village knew of Eagle's pain, but only a few offered words of comfort. Most, like Mama Namdi, believed that Eagle would never bear a child. Yet, despite the insults, Eagle continued to care for her family, helping Namdi's mother in the kitchen, tending to the house, and always wearing a smile that hid her tears. 2 more years passed, and by the 10th year of their marriage, Eagle's hope began to fade like the setting sun. She had done everything, visited healers, prayed with elders, and fasted in silence. But nothing changed. Still, Eagle remained gentle, her heart filled with quiet faith. Then one quiet night, as Eagle slept, she had a dream. In the dream, an old woman dressed in white came to her. "My child," the old woman said, "your time has come. The heavens have heard your cry. By this time next year, you will cradle not 1, but 2 children in your arms." When Eagle woke up, she could still feel the warmth of the dream in her heart. Could it be true? Was this the answer to her prayers? Months passed, and soon Eagle began to feel changes in her body. The village buzzed with whispers. Could it be, they wondered? Even Mama Namdi, who had been so cruel, began to soften her words. When Eagle finally told Namdi that she was with child, his joy knew no bounds. He lifted her off her feet and danced like a child in the rain. Eagle's belly grew, and with it, her heart swelled with love and gratitude. But the greatest surprise was yet to come, for the dream had spoken the truth. Eagle was not carrying just 1 child, but 2 twins. The village gathered in awe when they heard the news, and even Mama Namdi wept tears of joy. However, Eagle knew that the journey was not yet over. The path ahead was still filled with challenges, and not everyone was happy for her. But as she looked at the stars each night, she knew that her story was far from finished. And so, the story of Eagle continues. Eagle's days were now filled with excitement and fear. As her belly grew larger, the weight of carrying 2 children was heavy, but the joy in her heart made her stronger. Every night, she would sit outside under the moonlight, her hands gently resting on her belly, feeling the soft kicks of her unborn babies. Mama Namdi, who had once filled the house with heartful words, was now always by her side, helping her through the difficult days. But Eagle noticed something strange. Though Mama Namdi smiled, there was something else behind her eyes, something Eagle couldn't quite understand. Was it worry? Or was it something darker? The villagers, too, were excited for the arrival of the twins. Women came to visit Ego, bringing gifts and blessings. Some brought herbs to ease her pains, while others sang songs of welcome for the babies. But Ego couldn't shake the feeling that not everyone was truly happy for her. Whispers traveled on the wind, and not all of them were kind. One day, as Ego was sitting in the courtyard, a woman she did not know came to visit. The woman was tall and thin, her eyes sharp and her voice like the rustle of dry leaves. "Ego," she began, her voice low, "you must be careful. Not everyone who smiles at you wishes you well. There are those who do not want these children to be born." Ego's heart skipped a beat. "Who would wish harm upon innocent babies?" she asked, her voice trembling. The woman did not answer. She only handed Ego a small pouch filled with leaves and whispered, "Keep this close. It will protect you and your children." Then, without another word, the woman disappeared as quickly as she had come. That night, Ego couldn't sleep. Her mind raced with questions. Who was that woman? And why did she warn her? Could there really be people who wanted to harm her children? Days turned into weeks, and as the time for the baby's birth drew closer, Ego's worries grew. She noticed strange things happening around the house. Sometimes, she would hear whispers when no one was around. Other times, things would go missing, small things, like her hair comb or her favorite scarf. But the most frightening moment came when she found a strange mark on the door of her room, drawn in white chalk. Ego quickly ran to Namdi. "Something is wrong," she said, her voice filled with fear. "Someone is trying to harm our children." Namdi tried to calm her, but he too had noticed the strange happenings. "We will be careful," he promised. "I will watch over you and our children." But deep down, Ego knew that the danger was closer than they realized. And as the day of the twins' birth drew near, she felt that the battle for their safety was only just beginning. And so, the story of Ego, her unborn twins, and the mysterious forces surrounding them continues. As the day of the twins' birth drew closer, the tension in the house grew. Ego could feel the weight of something unseen pressing down on her. The strange marks appeared more frequently, and even the birds seemed to grow silent when she passed. One night, just as the moon was high in the sky, Ego was awakened by sharp pains in her stomach. Her time had come. Namdi rushed to her side, and Mama Namdi quickly called for the village midwives. But as the labor pains intensified, Ego felt a deep fear rise within her. The strange woman's warning echoed in her mind, "Not everyone who smiles at you wishes you well." As the midwives arrived and began to prepare for the birth, Ego noticed something strange. One of the midwives, an older woman with a crooked smile, was whispering something under her breath. Ego's heart raced. Could this be the danger she had been warned about? With every contraction, the room seemed to grow darker. Ego closed her eyes, her mind swelling with fear and pain. But then, she remembered the pouch the mysterious woman had given her. Without hesitation, she clutched it tightly in her hand and whispered a prayer. "O God, protect me and my children. Send your angels to watch over us." Suddenly, there was a shift in the air. The dark presence that had loomed over her seemed to lift, and the room filled with a warmth that Ego could not explain. The whispers stopped, and the strange midwife stepped back, her face pale and trembling. As the first cry of a baby filled the room, Ego's heart swelled with joy. The first twin, a strong baby boy, was born. Moments later, the second cry came, and her heart soared even higher, her second child, a beautiful baby girl, had arrived. Tears of joy streamed down Eagle's face as Namdi held their children in his arms. The mysterious midwife quickly left, but Eagle felt no fear anymore. She knew that God had protected her and her babies. Even Mama Namdi, who had once been so harsh, knelt by Eagle's side, weeping with gratitude. The entire village celebrated the birth of the twins, and Eagle's story became one of hope, patience, and faith. She had waited for 10 long years, enduring pain and insults, but in the end, her faith was rewarded. As Eagle held her babies close, she whispered the words that had carried her through the darkest times. Asterisk, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Asterisk, Jeremiah 29 verse 11. And so, Eagle's story ended not with fear, but with the promise of a brighter tomorrow, and the assurance that, no matter the trials we face, God's plans are always good.